MarineLorD versus VortiX. And you know what? That Mongol detail sure seems to have been important. Do you know why, folks? Because they're both playing Mongols. Yeah, that's right. They both picked and they both banned. And you know what they've done in both cases? They both went for the same. Both of them decided they wanted to ban out the Rus, doing so blind. And then they both decided to pick up the Mongols. And I love seeing these mirror matchups. I think this one can be extremely exciting because there are some different flexible openings and also the micro play that comes into the picture, right? When you consider the usage of the Khan, the positioning, the ability to dictate a fight off the back of both outpost control and these arrows that give so much depth to the fights of Mongols is what I'm always excited about with this matchup. And let me just get the new scores in place. I do need to update my overlays slightly. So we've got MarineLorD versus VortiX. And for those wondering, MarineLorD has so far been the only player to constantly achieve the 2-0s. I think there's a few more in contention, but they're up against challenging opponents. The question is whether with that micro-intensity and that mirror matchup, MarineLorD can continue to 2-0 Blaze through to the second day, right? Because so far, he's been actually the quickest to finish on each of these rounds. Right? I think every single time when I've looked, he's been the first one starting the clock for the new round. He's always been sitting there waiting. He's had enough time to go sit back and watch other people's games in prep for the next one. Well, let's see if he blitzes through this one. Because I don't think VortiX is going to be a pushover. If we talk about the openings, I do prefer VortiX's somewhat for aggression. You see the location of the Uvu, it's very far out, but it is more towards your opponent's base. Meanwhile, MarineLorD's less distance to cover, but it's more retracted. It's behind. The difference here is it means if a VortiX has a foothold, he'll push it hard. If he ever folds back, though, it means his military district is going to be on the front. And we've seen how that can backfire very quickly in these games. It looks like it is going to be a stable coming out on the other side as well. So both of them likely to be playing into the professional scouts. Remember, when we talk about the current meta, you can't talk about it without mentioning professional scouts at least 5 times. It's one of the most powerful and kind of oppressive styles in the game available right now. And if you don't engage with it, you're actually being suboptimal on your food surplus, right? Especially when you're playing civs such as the Rus, the Mongols, and of course, let's not forget the Chinese. I guess the other details to highlight is, opening-wise, there's a priority on food compared to gold. I don't know if I like VortiX's follow-up from the Uvu placement when I look across at this. It's a long way to run off for your gold vein, and the importance of this is going to come into the picture by the 10-20 minute mark, right, in that threshold. When we're talking about players going up to Castle Age, and we're talking about harassment, because this gold vein is far away from safety. I think VortiX is going to have to very early put down an outpost to play it safe, and that can be a little bit wonky because, well, let's be real here. One outpost is not going to protect your gold line. What do Mongol players do by Castle Age? 10 to 15 people picking away, giving 50% more drop-off to the step readout. It means there's a lot of exposed economy that can be exploited. And I think MarineLorD will scout this out, because one thing that I do have to highlight is MarineLorD has been one of the most impressive players in terms of scouting constantly. Not just scouting like most people right now, which is scouting to pick up carcasses and bring back delicious food. He's good on the scouting front in terms of maintaining vision on his opponent. And by the way, interesting thing here, VortiX has spammed out a lot of scouts early compared to his opponent. It does mean that VortiX is going to be later on his tech up, and you can see, actually, MarineLorD already beginning. Meanwhile, when we look at the surplus, VortiX is only halfway on the food front. And this is because he jumped the gun on the scouts. In fact, I don't even know if many of these would have been double production. I feel like 1 or 2 of them might have even been single production, right? It does mean if he can cut off these scouts, he can run a few down. But overall, I do think he jumped the gun a bit, unless he can snipe something out here. This would be a cool play if he can snipe out the Uvu. But only if he does. And remember, if you do achieve this, which scouts are, it's quite feasible, right, to scout rush. I still am quite surprised I haven't seen more of it since, the start of the game release. You get value as the Mongols, right? You get the gold, you get the food treacle. It can cause some issues, and he's committing to it. Makes sense, right? You've got no other use for these scouts right now. Meanwhile, losing the Uva from MarineLorD, considering he hasn't built an army yet, is frustrating, and it means he has to respond like this into the early horsemen. The question is whether they'll kill you before they kill the Uvu, or whether you kill them rather before he kills the Uvu. And I think he might get the Uvu first if he's smart about this. Instead, he goes onto the horseman. Remember, the damage isn't that good for Horsemen. It's 7 compared to the 4. And remember that Scouts regenerate over time and have more health. And now, just trying to create a space. Once again, this Ubu boat. This is so cheesy, but so smart of VortiX. Remember, we said about him, right? MarineLorD is the Micro King, yes. But VortiX, he's the out-of-the-box thinker, the tinkerer, right? And that's exactly what's happening here. He's almost at burning status, and that'll at least give him some resources for his trouble. And it's going to be hard to come out here and repair in the middle of the onslaught. And now, what's that? 2 groups of... No, 1 group of Horsemen and then into the Scouts. So it hasn't hurt him that much in the end. But the Uvu looks like it might fall. The problem is VortiX now does have to replace these Scouts. It is quite cheap, though, remember. With the double production, you're only spending 60 stone, and he has surplus compared to his opponent. And out for the repairs. Gets it just in time. So not able to actually frustrate his opponent enough here. He did slow it down a little bit and even up, right? You see VortiX about to hit his tech up about the same time, so he's not that far behind him. But the cheeky play really didn't pay off in the end. He lost a decent amount of Scouts. Yes, he forced the early Horseman investment, but now he's going to have to focus on investing in something himself, right? To match this aggression that MarineLorD now has access to, courtesy of the mob Horsemen and the Scouts. The moment he will back off. Rax has to be built so far away. This is one wonky part, right? The military district, like we said, it's very far away. And now the Deerstone isn't in a position that you can fully utilize it yet. So he has to use the barracks back here, which means 1 spearman at a time. And look at this, MarineLorD. He's returning the favor. He's like, all right, you cheeky bugger. Anything you can do, I can do too. Admittedly, he doesn't sound very British when he says this. It's more French, but who knows if the 100-Year War had ended differently. And this one will be raised. You can't stop him quick enough here. Another scout, 2 full. This is painful for VortiX. VortiX, how many scouts? That's all of them, right? So he was never able to actually go into the pro scouts. He's researching it now, but he has to recover that scout force. And with all these scouts here, he will set fire to the Uvu. He'll even kill the spearmen as they trickle in. This is so clowny. Oh, I love it. Give me more games like this. This early sort of aggression, it just doesn't happen anymore. You know, everyone's on about the Castle Age booms. Oh, I got a 7.5-minute Castle Age. Ooh, aren't you fancy? Get out of here. Show me that Feudal and Dark Age still matters, baby. That's what I came for. Uvu's gone. See you later, sucker. MarineLorD on his way out. And look at this. He's snatching the deer. Not fully microing it. Bit surprising out the MicroLord himself. But look, the spearmen, you just don't care about them. He's snatching everything. He takes the Uvu away, and he's taking the deer with him. MarineLorD's like, fine, you don't want to be a united Mongol front anymore? Great. But you know what? I get the house, I get the car, and I get the kids. And all you get is the dog that won't stop barking at night. As he's left barely any of his deer. He has to rebuild the Uvu. That cost him 150 wood. Definitely better trades in the early game for MarineLorD. MarineLorD did sacrifice 1 additional villager, yes, but whoop-de-doo, what do you care right now? And hello, the outpost dropped over here. A little bit paranoid. He's like, he's coming for my Uvu. This is a back and forth. He wants payback for me burning stone to the ground. It doesn't even make sense when you think about it. How are torches going to affect a bunch of pebbles on top of a stone mound? It makes no sense. But we don't question these things in the world of Age of Empires 4. For to do so would to be invalidating the power of a scout rush. Oh, but no double down. Just a replacement right now. VortiX trying to go up to 8. Wait, no. 8 is a lot. Folks, 8... Oh my god, he's doing it. He's actually going to do it. VortiX is prepping for the scout rush. I mean, it's 9 minutes in. It's not the biggest rush in the world, but it's going to bum rush over MarineLorD, who's not going to be ready for this. He's going for the step readout. VortiX, this is a Hail Mary play. You get 1 shot of this, and if you reveal your hand too early, your opponent might adjust. Oh my lordy. He is now up to 14 scouts. And the step readout halfway built right now. There is no Rax infrastructure. And look, it's more stables right now. So he might answer this problem eventually, but the Lancers are going to be slow to get out, and you have to question how much damage is going to be done in the meantime. VortiX, meanwhile, slowing this down. Hasn't continued to spam out, but he's getting second stable right now. And you have to wonder why. He needs more scouts, if anything, right now. He charges in. Is he going for the carcasses? He's yoinking! He's yoinking him! Straight in, straight out, shake it all about. These belong to me now. And he'll lose a decent amount of scouts, but he's getting his bang for buck, baby. See you later, sucker. I say he gets his bang for buck. I don't think he did. He only got one of the carcasses. No! Oh my god, he calls it! Oh no! What a way for this game to end! We were looking for the scout bum rush, we were looking for the fun, but VortiX, he just came for the booty! And instead, he gets his booty handed to him. MarineLorD, we said this lad does not wait around. We said every round he's the first to finish his series, and it's looking like it's heading that way again, with a 10-minute victory over another top 10 player. What a wacky way for this game to end, but what an amazing way for it to play out. Oh, VortiX, you know what? I thought this was going to be a scout rush. I thought that was his play. That looked like that was genuinely going to be the play. Instead, he stops at 12, which is a good amount for diving, right? But you're already behind MarineLorD. Investing in this instead of just going heavily into the scouts and just flurrying him hard and burning his infrastructure, it feels like you're half in one and half in the other, right? Like, and in that situation, you've got half a foot in the grave and half a foot in the cremator machine. And that's exactly how this plays out. MarineLorD not letting him get away with anything. One corpse loses most of the scouts and there's a whole tech behind. VortiX knows when he's tapped out. But that's only one game, guys. We said it was going to be wacky. We said it was going to be crazy. Imagine if we get another mirror matchup with these two players. It's going to be bonkers, so I'm excited. That's only game one. Game two, by the way, I think it might be on Black Forest. We'll get confirmation, but if it is, holy crap. I don't think my brain or my heart can take it. But in a few minutes, we'll have to see if I need some sort of surgery, if I need a defib, because I expect one hell of a hype series, regardless if it's 2-0 or a comeback 2-1. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 2, currently underway on Black Forest between MarineLorD and VortiX. But let's not waste any more time. Let me hit that button and get you into the action. Because here we go. Already underway, baby. And how is this one going to play out? I mean, MarineLorD taking game 1 in such a brutal fashion. VortiX, I don't think I count him as a tilter. He doesn't strike me as a type of player that tilts easily, but that had to be somewhat frustrating. What a brutal way to get slap and clapped within 10 minutes in game 1. Luckily for him, game 2 should take longer. Black Forest, with China on both sides, I don't expect this one to be any less than 25 minutes long. An opening, MarineLorD already on the water. VortiX is delayed. What? He went for the straggler tree. This is actually one of those situations where this is good. Folks, this is worth doing right now. What he's doing right now is good. There are not many situations in which you will convince me the straggler trees are good to engage with, but I do think Black Forest is one of those maps. And it means look how late you are on the docks. Your opponent is already there. He doesn't have the required surplus to get a fishing boat, but now he does. It's underway. And he can gather 1 or 2 more of these trees and then shift across to make a lumber camp. And because of the formation of trees, because there's so many nearby on this map, on this starting, I actually think this is a good play. If there was like 3 trees, I don't like it as much. But considering that you've got what, like let's say on average 8 trees around you, 150 each, you have 1,000 wood to work with. And it's not that inefficient to do. So this opening is really solid out of MarineLorD. You can tell he's been practicing it. And it's impressive considering how little we've been seeing of Black Forest on the map rotations right now in pubs. I feel like it's way to not take you here, if anything. And it wouldn't surprise me as well. Remember, Black Forest, you can no longer win with victory, like with victory condition being sacred sites, right? Sacred sites are gone. They got stripped completely because it was felt to be like an oppressive and stupid tool against some civs. I think what definitely helped it on its way towards that is that compared to AoE 2, you can't burst through wood lines with catapults anymore, right? I don't know how it'd feel if they brought that back. It could be an interesting thing, though. Straight across in the lumber camp. See? Just set up nicely. He's still got, what, like, yeah, so he gets 3 of these fishing boats out, and with these villagers working on the fishing line here as well, he's able to sustain the output of units, right? Even being able to afford an Imperial official. And that's important. He wants to overheal on the lumber camp to increase his resource gains. He has got a problem with his scout right now. This is frustrating to deal with. I don't think he's doing similar either. No, he's not in position to do this to his opponent. So, could lose a villager or two if he's not careful. It's very far out. This is one of the risky elements of this map, by the way, that I don't think gets talked about enough. The layout of Black Forest makes you very vulnerable on your initial lines to being sniped by a scout on one or two villages, right? And we're seeing the heavy damage drawing them back to the straggler trees. And he can't afford to go for any defensive building just yet because his wood is all capped into the fishing boats, right? And the fact that he hasn't done similar is rough. The reason he hasn't done similar, by the way, is he's dragging this many sheep around. So if he needs a fallback economy after he runs out on the water, he's going to have that without having to immediately transition into farms. One by one, these villagers are going to probably become fishermen or limpmen in the village, unable to move away from the TC's protection. And it looks like VortiX has given up. So VortiX understands that this is frustrating, but at the end of the day, one by one, like honestly, the rate at which he forced villagers back, they're being replaced. He doesn't want to hang around for too long, right? Meanwhile, MarineLorD is just trying to bait Welshmen out of their hiding places as he runs around the map, proudly presenting his flock. They do look happy, don't they? They look so happy. You wouldn't club them, right? No, China's a peaceful country. We're peaceful people, okay? We don't believe in making war with the wildlife. Okay, ignore that. Some Chinese people believe in making war with the wildlife. As VortiX is supplementing his income, he's not doing what MarineLorD done. MarineLorD was getting shoreline fish. Shoreline fish, I'm pretty sure, is actually still more efficient than than sheep, right? So that's why he's neglecting it entirely. And we'll give him a fallback later anyway. I like this. MarineLorD, this is why he's such a lovable character. It's not just that he's amazing at the game, it's that he is on Pet's side, okay? Animal lives matter, folks. And that's what we're seeing here, an appreciation. Chat right now is asking to pet them. The problem is usually when people try to pet them, they do it with a cane that kills them. So maybe just watch them, observe them, don't touch them. An opening onto the stone, and we expected this, right? Stone opening on both sides. Income is going to be even Stevens. No one's ahead. But look at the move out of MarineLorD. He's penning his opponent in. All right. Talked about sheep. Talked about a nice little sheep pen. Nice little farm. Well, guess what? MarineLorD has a pet, and it's called VortiX. And it makes sense. I mean, after game, oh my god, he's doing layers. Oh, MarineLorD is like Shrek. He has layers. Okay, he's an onion at this stage. Just doubling up, insulating, giving himself 2/3 of the map. What a play out of MarineLorD. And it might look trolly, it might look cheesy, but we've seen his capability to follow through, right? Like, I think the problem is a lot of people mistake actually just annoying plays and pressure type plays for trolly plays, right? Oh, you know, he's not like, oh, he's just stupidly putting walls down. This is inefficient. The villager could be elsewhere. Yeah, but now VortiX is blind. He's only got one scout out, no way out right now, and he's playing China. And that's an uncomfortable situation to find yourself in. He doesn't really know what MarineLorD is doing. If the scout ever gets sniped out, VortiX can't find more vision. He has to get through these lines first. New age reached. And look at the difference. VortiX, quick to get the secondary. MarineLorD, about to have enough for the Barbargainer Sun, but he might just contemplate getting the extra TCs first. The problem is that he's being matched right now. You can see VortiX has ample wood. It's just the stone that's needed. Stone needed never sounds quite as good as wood needed, but here's the difference here. However, if he wants to go for 3 TCs, he's going to need a little bit more wood. First one is going down on the additional count. Meanwhile, MarineLorD not ready. He has ample stone. He's got too many people on stone. Slow down. The wood levels aren't good. They would have been good. He's baited himself. He's put so many walls down, he doesn't actually have the wood required to now get his TC instantly. That's a bit of a wonky feeling right there. Although he at least has the double palisades, I'm just not sure how long they're gonna last. We'll see if it's valuable enough. The Barbargainer Sun now being built. He wants that Song Dynasty. He understands this is a villager race right now. It's up to the peasantries to decide this between them. But the second TC is still not there. I will say that MarineLorD is almost able to build 2 TCs back-to-back. And I really want to see that. I think that's actually the play here. By the way, another reason he does this forward palisade, it's more important on the south side. You're noticing this, right? This tree line isn't full. He's not cut in. So actually, when you think about it, and this is where you got a little bit scammed, there's more entrances to MarineLorD's base than there is to VortiX's. Why? And it's exactly why, by the way, this forward palisade play is so much better. He's limiting his opponent's ability to raid early and not allowing him to take advantage of the fact that MarineLorD is exposed on more fronts than VortiX is. Because VortiX, all of them just come towards here, really. There's one over here, and then everything can be covered by Barbican the Sun. Meanwhile, MarineLorD, he can cover 2 routes in his base with Barbican the Sun, but then he's got 2 juicy routes that lead straight into his eco lines. So while it seems trolly, it's actually an optimal play to protect your economy in the early mid-game shift. Meanwhile, little Jimmy over here. The longest run with a bunch of logs on your back I've ever seen. Guy must be more buff than Arnie at this point. Good lord. But he's back on the line, so he's got that full efficiency. Count right now, MarineLorD is 2-3 behind. Remember, he was slow to get the Song Dynasty and slow to get his second TC up. Although MarineLorD could go for another TC. I really want to see that play. The only thing that could prevent him is if his opponent gets aggressive. But right now, there's no signs of VortiX doing that. And look at the move. This tree would have allowed him out. But no dice. New walls, please. It's the Chinese Trump at this stage. Only this guy actually gets things done. No promises of a wall. Just a glorious wooden wall to keep all the unwelcomes out. And that should delay VortiX from breaching this quicker. And in the meantime, MarineLorD moved in. And he just got eyeballs on the clock tower. So this should shift what he does. He's going for an extra TC, but he's going to need some military presence as well. But this is the play he was looking for, right? He got the ample stone and he shifts across for it now. Fishing fleet count is up at 14 right now. Compared on the other side, just went up to 14. So MarineLorD's still keeping that slight edge there. And now with 3 TCs, will rapidly pass by VortiX and then bump up to that 100 mark much quicker. And because VortiX doesn't know this, it's a problem, right? That scout can't get deep anymore. You can see it. And this is the beauty of the Barbican Sun location. He limits the mobility and the vision factor, right? VortiX is probably going to lose the scout now. And he could never get around the back. Because this Barbican's placed here, he hasn't got a flank round to the back to check what's happening. He does not know that MarineLorD built an additional TC. And that blind factor can come into play in the next 5-10 minutes if you're not rapido as VortiX. And why would he be that rapido, right? He's building the racks now that he reaches Castle Age, but say MarineLorD hits a similar time, which he's now underway with, that might make VortiX think twice about pushing out. And if he does that, he's going to be at a ginormous disadvantage when you get into that 25, 30-minute fight and you're 200 cap on each side and you didn't realize that your opponent had a vastly superior economy to yours. I do nonetheless expect VortiX to move out to the center quicker, just because he needs to make sure he's not allowing forward control. For all he knows, MarineLorD could be building a forward base behind these lines. He could be having forward expansions. He could have an aggressive TC. He could be doing anything he wants. And that has to make you uncomfortable if you are the red player here. Oh no, the walls! He can never get through. Denied once again. Alright, the Springald will at least finally punish him, so MarineLorD is going to lose the Villi. You can't run quick enough to escape the Springalds. But nice play here. Something that's very underutilized by players, especially on Black Forest, is exactly what VortiX does here. Why waste time going through the palisades when you can go around them? The one disadvantage is that means that you're leaving vision for MarineLorD. MarineLorD will see your armies moving through here. So that's something to keep in mind. He will want to siege through these eventually. But yeah, did he actually get the important detail here? Did he actually get... No, he never got the forestry. So I think forestry is something we haven't seen utilized that much so far in Age of Empires 4, but I could see it becoming effective for crawling routes past your opponents, right? Think about, it's a micro-intensive thing, but think about like cutting down trees quickly with 1 or 2 villages, and you create a new path, say here, all the way past, say, if there was a full base here from MarineLorD. I think it would matter in a late-game situation in which your opponent has got control of the center of the map, but I do think it's something I'm looking forward to seeing being explored. Because anyone who's come from an Age of Empires 2 background knows about the Mangonel plays, right? Smashing through tree lines and flanking your opponent's front defenses, right? It's just something we haven't seen so far in AoE 4. And I think it's because it's a very intensive thing to do. There's no ability to quickly siege down a line courtesy of those Mangonels we just talked about. Palace Guard out. VortiX not really saving up for the second castle edge to get himself into the Yuan Dynasty. I think they're both just going to hang around here for quite a while. But now, pressure on. And MarineLorD hasn't got that many Palace Guard out just yet. A lot of racks down, though, and he's starting to produce out of them all. So he should build up quickly. Springles have a problem in the meantime. And just look how he doesn't care about the Barbican of the Sun. Now, the Springles don't really matter for sniping out these units, remember. It's a pitiful 30 damage each, and the Palace Guard close rank quickly. And the problem you might now have is look at the count. It's 3 racks compared to the 6. And MarineLorD can support this very quickly, remember. He went for that additional TC over VortiX. In the meantime, villagers garrisoned in. Losing a bunch of them right now. Count right now is economy 86 to the 87 from MarineLorD. Phillies. Uh-oh. Even the Imperial official has a torch. He's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I came for taxes. There is no tax here. Only the blood tax. And that is a whoopsie-daisy and a half out of MarineLorD. A lot of villagers lost there. VortiX now with the effective economy advantage of 7. And so many Springles. This is actually... This is absurd. This isn't... No, this is not Age of Empires 4. We got rid of this. This doesn't work anymore. This isn't allowed. Stop building Springles! You're going to give people the wrong ideas. Age of Springles was brought to an end. I was guaranteed. Multiple YouTube videos assured me of it. Even the devs assured me of it. But I'm watching it research. And Palace Guard, it seems appropriate. They're defending their kings. The Springles are the kings. And so many villagers, MarineLorD. He has nothing else to throw at this, and these Palace Guard are going to cleave right through you. And yes, it is costly to get this many Springles, but why do you care when you scale so much better? I can't believe this series. Game 1, such an absurd way to end, and Game 2, just as absurd so far. And Palace Guard, going to get through a few of these Springles right, but you can't get through them quick enough. You're outnumbered. Now look at the eco count. 95 for VortiX. Hold your breath and be ready to scream. 68 for MarineLorD. At least he can hit that golden number again in 1. But my god, is he miles behind that of VortiX. VortiX, once again, outnumbering him on the Palace Guard. And once again, the onslaught continues. The Barbican Siege is already halfway complete. And the Springles doesn't even get a shot off. And they're moving in. VortiX just peeks in and goes, oh, MarineLorD. With the cheesiest and evilest green you can imagine. And that's enough. He calls it. The Barbican of the Sun is gone. He knows the game is over. And this series, Clown Fiesta 1, outdone by Clown Fiesta 2. No one tell me Springles are dead because I am in denial. And so is VortiX. And MarineLorD, well, he's just beaten and battered, screaming in the corner, shaking back and forth. He thought we were beyond this. He thought we were better than this. We were meant to be beating the darkness, not be consumed by it. But VortiX, he sticks on his Sith hoodie and he goes back into the evil times as Springles once again reigns supreme. Oh, God. Oh. What a damn trooper. What a legend. What a way to win this. I'm so impressed. Nobody in existence gets to tell me that the Springles are useless. Okay? Not after what I just witnessed. Good God. Oh, I love how that came down to Palace Guard as well, by the way. Palace Guard, I continue to believe it and I continue to state it. Palace Guard are underrated, for sure. Not enough people utilize them. They are so effective, right? It's the raiding power. Notice that once you're in your opponent's base, he has a hard choice. He has to engage you. If he ever doesn't have an even number of Palace Guard to yours, they don't need to target down the Barbican or the infrastructure. Do you know what Palace Guard do? Do you know what Palace Guard's real name is? Do you know what do you actually realize what Palace Guard is when you convert it from Chinese, when you translate it? It means light cavalry. That's basically what they... Well, not even light, actually. It means armored cavalry. They are, in fact, armored cavalry. Palace Guard just run past you. 1.38 movement speed. Even if you have your own Palace Guard, if your villagers are anywhere nearby, they can't run away. This is what makes them 10 times superior to man-at-arms. The only exceptions being certain civs that have a way of utilizing man-at-arms better. The Mongols to a certain degree of Yam, and the other big one that we haven't been seeing is Delhi. Delhi are quite incredible because of forced march. But you have to reach that. Palace Guard are instantly in your face, and my god, was it effective. I think MarineLorD learned a very valuable lesson about walling as well. I will say that that strategy probably works against a lot of players. But we said that VortiX is big brain, right? It's swollen. His brain is so big, it's cracked his skull, and it's starting to just appear out the top of his head, right? It was never going to work against a god like that. This guy programs the games. You think he doesn't know how this works? Damn straight he does. Oh, it's a game 3. Such a quick series, though. I love how they're not waiting around. I actually appreciate that. I think that short games can be just as hype as long ones, and that's exactly what we're getting treated to here. Too many games become like this 40 or 50-minute slog. One fight commences, and you go, we could have done this sooner. I literally cast a game earlier today, and it was over an hour long between Show and his head. Yes, it's literally show board versus Twitch chat. It's show versus show. And the game took over an hour, but the game could have been over in half that time. But because a player didn't engage with a certain thing, or he didn't push an advantage at a certain phase, it dragged on so stupidly long. All right, here we go. Game number 3. It's another mirror matchup! Oh my god, this series is just too good. 3 times in a row. They blind it. I'm... This is incredible. This is so... Dude, I don't think any... Like, I can't see anything at this rate top in this series. You can talk about a 2-hour game and how amazing it will be. You can talk about the comeback of the century. But this is just like... Genuinely, this is like being in one of those Scooby-Doo episodes where they reveal the... They pull the mask off and then they pull another mask off. And then they pull another mask off. And they just keep pulling masks off. That is the clown show that I'm commencing in here. I'm dancing for. Like some sort of performing monkey. We're just all tools and toys in the amusement of these two players. Oh, God. Someone put on the chicken song, please, because the clowniness level just keeps increasing. 3 games in a row now in this best of 3. Back and forth. 1-1 the score. And it comes down to this. A 3rd mirror match up in a row. Double Le Francais here on Dry Arabia. I will stop with the terrible impersonations before MarineLorD hunts me down. But you have to question. He's French. He has the advantage here, surely. Unless you go for, like, historical values. VortiX is Spanish. There was a lot of crossover between the... Hey, wait, that's too much nerdiness. Let's just talk about the big boom boom and the clashy swords. That's what I do best. Because we're going to have that mirror matchup. We're going to have that potential aggression. Maybe some corpse yoinking. Remember, these two civs, they aren't number 1 in terms of going for that early scouts into professional scouts carcass gathering. But they are on the 2nd tier. They're not the worst in the game. And we have seen plenty of players open the School of Cavalry to get their hands on the scouts. Don't worry, though. This isn't game 1. We're not about to see that play with the scouts again. But we are about to see some funky magic either way. And we did have a game like this before. And the difference was that one player did choose to engage with the scouts and the other chose to move pocket economies around. So I'm kind of interested to see how that's going to play out. Because... while there is some feasibility between running your villages off the pocket economies, because of the pressure that France applies, you have to be 40 your opponent, right? So I think if one of these players takes an advantage and starts to pin the other in the base, what we might see is that player forgo scouts and instead choose to just move their villages out to the deer line, out to the berry bush lines, and then try and soak up all of that goodness. It also could be that we just see TC booms. So far, I don't think I've seen any French players going for the TC booms as much. We did see 1 or 2 very late ones, but never these rapid TCs. Never like by 10 minutes a second TC thinking about a 3rd. Opening-wise, breakdown is more or less even. MarineLorD with a slight edge. I believe VortiX did. Yeah, VortiX went for the 2nd scout. But MarineLorD didn't see the value in this. And this is interesting. MarineLorD is one of those players that will often open with additional scouts to get the vision game. But to him, he must feel like the opening is quite predictable. And I can kind of see where he's coming from. By the time you need to gather the info on the French player, your scout will be there, right? And he'll know if there's going to be knights or scouts coming out the School of Cavalry. So he's not feeling pressured. Instead, VortiX going to be delayed in comparison going up into the second age and also now being a villager behind. I do like MarineLorD's opening better. I think it makes 100% sense up against another French player on this map. Like, you're not really scared about him rushing you with knights until you at least hear the tick up to castle, or to feudal, rather. And you're not going to hear it anytime soon. This is going to be quite the delayed move out of VortiX. VortiX also getting on the wood line early, and only one person over there for MarineLorD. So he finally is able to afford it. VortiX decides not to. He was missing on the village account. There must have been a misstep here. This can't just be the scout alone. Something else feels off. He might have got choked on a villager at one point. But there's only one village difference, which is the scout. So it doesn't really make sense to me. His opening didn't look that terrible. I guess maybe you could talk generation. Wood lines similar. Gold lines are maybe slightly shorter, actually. Ever so slightly shorter from MarineLorD, though. So I don't think that was the difference either. This does give MarineLorD flexibility, right? Now he can choose. Do I go for scouts? Do I play into pro scouts? Or do I go for knights? Considering he put down the mill already, I think he's intending to go pro scouts. Meanwhile, on the other side, VortiX could be playing into Night Rush. Look at this. He hasn't gone for a mill at all. So it looks like he's going to be the one spamming knights before MarineLorD. But remember, by the time you arrive in your opponent's base, as long as he somewhat scouts this out, he can start to match the pace at which you push out units. And here you go. Wrap around. VortiX gets the bad news. He's only halfway there. MarineLorD, he has just scouted this out, so he's going to get better eyeballs on. And that is comfort zone right there. That feeling right there, when you see your opponent has 4 people working on it and it's only half complete, you feel like you're miles ahead. Like, you just sit on cruise mode at this stage and instantly queue up the scouts. Pro scouts already being researched. And the knock-on importance of this you have to consider is that his opponent won't be able to contest him on the deer carcasses as well, because he's going to be late to get into the School of Cavalry. Then he has to build the scout army. Keep in mind that also you didn't see a single mill. So now MarineLorD is thinking, okay, he's either going very late into pro scouts or he's intending to harass me early with knights. Either way, I can play a condensed economy underneath my TC and basically boom up off the back of deer food. Sorry, I don't speak French. I occasionally talk to the units in games. And that exactly tells you why I need a co-caster. But that's a problem for another day. Let's focus on the fact that VortiX is doing what we said. He's doubling down, he's going into the stables, and he's going into the knights. So he's ramping up pressure. Response out of MarineLorD doesn't exist just yet. He could go for a barracks if he wants to. He could even drop a second stable himself. He's actually going to be at a point where he can stabilize and support multiple stables quicker than VortiX can. And no, I didn't mean for the stabilize pun. Genuinely, this crap happens too often without me meaning to do so. And straight in with the oinking. VortiX, I almost feel like he was scarred after game 1. He'll never touch pro scouts again. He's like, tried and true, stomp people in opening week. It was with knights. Build knights. We'll see if he can shake off the PTSD in time to compete here. Because now, by the time you arrive in your opponent's base, look, he already has knights. One out, building a second one. And these two stables, well, one of them's getting chivalry, the other one's grabbing another knight. Question is, how sustainable is this going to be? It's going to be hard for you to ramp up past this initial threshold quicker than your opponent, right? And with all the deer coming in, there's no way to stop it either. You're too slow to actually ever snipe any of these out unless you've got like 5 knights in location for a charge. And that means that he's going to gather all of his deer up easy peas. And he'll eventually come back for the others because there's no sign still of going for pro scouts on VortiX's side. I would like to see him move out onto this pocket here. Put down, like, basically bring out 5 people with a mill, put down an outpost, and just bathe in it, right? And then you can always garrison the outpost, snipe out 1 or 2 of the scouts. But I think from his perspective, he's worried he's always getting yoinked here. So it's not worth it for him to waste his time trying to get that right now. Instead, he needs to focus on pinning his opponent in. Vision game, well, he's not really able to control it. Meanwhile, MarineLorD still sneaking in to snatch extra corpses away from his opponent. And imagine this. Imagine thinking you could not only play without pro scouts, but beat a French player at France. It's not looking good right now for VortiX. He needs to reach that critical mass of knights. And in this game, the problem you have is your opponent has more knights than you. Look at the count. MarineLorD, yes, a big chunk of this is scouts, but it's even number at least in terms of knights. And it's home field advantage for the French player, as in the actual Frenchman, not just the person playing France. Because he is able to produce these out and instantly have them in battle. Meanwhile, VortiX has to run across the map. And this is why I never like the knight matchup versus the scout opening for France. Is because it puts so much pressure on you to close the game instantly. And when we get an opportunity to, it wraps around the wrong way. Snipes out one Villy. Tries to back away. Being charged into now by knights in response, but we'll get our range just in time. So he snipes one. He needs to do that 4 more times at least. He snuck in another one on the other side. MarineLorD getting dented into a little bit here. But now, does MarineLorD care? No. More corpses, please. And this is the thing I was talking about. You're out here. You didn't build an outpost. There's no units to defend you. You will still get some value, but a lot of it's going to be taken away. And now you're going to feel like you've wasted your time investing in a mill and bringing 5 villagers out here. Because very quickly, all of these will be taken away from you. Night count now up to 7. MarineLorD, how are we looking? We looking kind of spicy? Sitting at the 6 mark, so 1 behind. On the home field, though. No chivalry yet for MarineLorD. But he hasn't taken any damage, so he doesn't have a reason to research it yet. MarineLorD says, I'll take these. You can't be trusted with deer. These are becoming extinct animals, you know. Some crazy son of a gun has been hunting them across the map. Don't know who. And here you go. This is 6 in the base, but he's got 3 wrapping around. And I don't think VortiX is going to expect this. He's going to see this many knights in his opponent's base and assume that he's got everything defending. And it's going to catch him off guard. Look at him sneaking in. Engages on the knight, snipes one out, and straight onto the Villy line. He wants to return the favor that VortiX once gave him. Of relinquishing him of the burden of too many people to rule over. Meanwhile, back away again. But MarineLorD is keeping up constantly with VortiX, actually exceeding him in some regards. And once again, cycles in. Strikes another one of these Villies down with the final tap and gets away just in time. And all of a sudden, VortiX has to reassess the situation. He can't hang around right outside his opponent's base anymore. His opponent that is comfortable to sit like this for a very long time. And that's a scary thing to realize in the mirror matchup. The reason being, by the way, is that MarineLorD, he never has to come out. Right? It's that Warriors come out to play moment. VortiX is just there, and then MarineLorD, just like the main character, is like, no, don't go out. Don't be baited. Because as it stands right now, VortiX will have to come out and play. He will have to move out into these more aggressive, dangerous locations to gather food. Or he has to slow down the push out of knights to afford a switch over to farms. So MarineLorD's goal right now is to basically just outlast VortiX. And he actually has the surplus food to do exactly that. Surplus gold too, my word. You can see VortiX is hard in the wood. He understands this as well, better than we do. So he's trying to prep for that switch over. Meanwhile, the scouts are back. The scouts expect tribute, and they shall receive it. He'll even snatch away the food right out from the mouths of the hungry French peasants. Please, sir. Please. No, no food for you. Go eat berries. You're vegetarian now. Oh, and they're sneaking. So VortiX dives straight in towards the TC, but there's enough room to save most of MarineLorD's pop here. 4 difference between them, but remember the effectivity of all the deers. The greatest yoinker in the land continues to do so in this game, as he's going to make it back eventually with his deers. And he has the counter advantage now. Look at this, MarineLorD, 11 compared to the 5 here. VortiX can never turn around. Unless he wants to die. And I think he's actually outnumbered. Oh my god, the cycle is in as well. Not able to find the villagers this time. No investment in textiles on either side. None of them wanting to slow down, but keep in mind how many villages this could have protected, right? Like, right now, knights charge in, clap once, clap twice, dead. If textiles is there, it takes them way too long. You're able to garrison them in time. but neither of them wanting to slow down, right? Anytime you stop to get textiles, it's going to be 17 seconds, and that's a villager. But MarineLorD now pushing in. VortiX is in quite the pickle. And, well, I do believe that VortiX is about to experience what we call the run-through. Here's Papa. Papa MarineLorD evening up the eco count. He'll snipe 2 more before they garrison. And he's straight through here. He knows there's excess villagers. There's not enough garrison room for all of them. And the outposts being built are going to be too late. He cuts them off. VortiX, the long way around, taking the scenic route of his own base. An outpost is going to be a fail. He has to garrison everyone. There is room for most of them. MarineLorD could snipe out a few additional, but why give away your advantage now? MarineLorD up at 26 military units compared to VortiX's 12. And VortiX trying to dive into the TC once more. Knights to protect. Trying to make sure he cannot expose those few villages that cannot be protected. They're going to try and back up. In for a penny, in for a pound. VortiX needs the hardest hit of his life. And while that's happening, look what's happening back in his base. No access to replenish these units. No access to replace them. And a lot of villages exposed for MarineLorD, but the trades work out better for him now. Nothing that you can do as VortiX. And when he cycles through here, look how many villages are exposed. MarineLorD doesn't realize it just yet. Cuts off more of these villages, trying to get back in the TC, and now he sees it. And this should be the redirect. He'll snipe out these 2 villages, and then all of the food line. There's no way back through this. They're going to be blocked off. So many of them are slaughtered. The French knights have turned on their peasants. And now MarineLorD, 37 to the 25 of VortiX. And he is falling out of favor in this game. He actually just gives up. He calls the GG. MarineLorD again. Just forcing his opponent into this weird stalemate. Forcing him to make the poor choice. And proving exactly why Pro Scouts is 100% the way that you play a France-on-France matchup. If you ignore it, you surrender. Because that's what happened here. MarineLorD, honestly to God, just playing like a 18th century France. Meanwhile, VortiX seems to have gotten more of the 1930s attitude. Not good for him. Not really the showing we were expecting. I like the way he bounced back in game 2, but game 3, honest to God, I think the experimentation with this is over, right? If you're talking cavalry units early on, it has to be scouts. Right now, it is actually impressive how powerful it is. And even with the cycle charges to try and dive into the TC, you see how ineffective it can be. The fact that your opponent outscales you, and if he mirrors up and does similar to your base, every loss for you is harder fought, right? Because eventually, if you both get down to the 20 cap, and that's all you can hold, the opponent who has deer underneath his TC is 1 safer and 2 gathering quicker. And that makes the difference here.